Alright, welcome back to the build of this trailer. We're almost finished now. So today we're going to go ahead and finish out our electrical wiring for the trailer by connecting our terminals on the front so we can connect it to our tow rig, and then we'll hook up some safety chains. And today we're going to take a little trip and weigh this trailer. After watching the build, it'd be kind of cool to see what your guys' guesses are how much this thing weighs. I'm guessing around 1,000 pounds. I think my frame with the axle and tires and wheels probably come in close to about 350 pounds, so that really boosts up the weight of the trailer. I know some people have used the Harbor Freight trailer frame. They built the same cabin. They basically have the same setup in the back, and their trailers weigh in less than 800 pounds. So if that's the case, add in that 300 pounds, we're going to be around 1,000 pound mark, somewhere in there. We'll see. I still have a battery that we need to put in the front. That'll probably add another 100 pounds, so the tongue weight's going to be a little on the heavy side, but that's better than having all the weight in the back, because this thing will fishtail if you got too much weight in the back. Alright, so without any further ado, let's get started. So for my trailer wiring, I'm going to utilize some of these nice little handle pull things. I don't know what you want to call them. But this one here is going to be connected to the wiring for the front of the trailer on the tongue. We're going to pull back some wiring, strip them out. We're going to go ahead and solder everything. We'll get some shrink hose on there and make sure that that's nice and solid. And then for the trailer to the tow vehicle, we're also going to use another set of these. I think I like these because if you ever try to put these things together on and off, connect these things in here, and then most people sit there and pull and yank, and you end up pulling the end of the wires out. But with these, put your fingers in there and just pull those things out lickety split. So there is also a little bit of terminal grease that we can put on these terminals here to help ease and facilitate putting these things together and pulling them apart, and I think those are going to do the trick. So that is what we're going to install. So we're going to go ahead and pull the wiring out from the tongue. We'll go ahead and get this soldered in place, get our shrink tubing on, and reinstall that wiring through the tongue, let that hang out just a little bit. Then we'll be able to connect it up and test out our lights to make sure that the tow vehicle's got power to the terminals. Then we'll work on the safety chains and get this thing towed in and weigh it out. So for a trailer wiring, we want to have our little adapter here kind of poking out somewhere probably about like that. And I'm thinking about, well, can't tell you what I'm thinking. It's not coming to me. I need to snip this off inside here. Let's see. Probably about 4 inches. So what I want to do is go ahead and mark this right across here. And then I'm going to take and pull this wiring out, measure back 4 inches. We'll cut it, and we'll splice our wires. We'll go ahead and splice these wires. We'll get those soldered on, get everything covered, and then reinstall it back into the tube here. And hopefully when it sticks out about like this. And my preference is I don't want a long piece of wire that goes from here to the tow vehicle, because I don't want to have to wrap it around the tongue when not in use. We'll just have this part setting out, and we can always protect the ends, and then I can keep the wiring that I use from the trailer to the tow vehicle inside the cab of the truck. So that's our plan. I do have it marked, and I think we're ready to go ahead and pull this out, cut it. We'll hook up some wiring. So let's get that done. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and fish this wire out of here. We'll end up putting it back in when we're all said and done. There's my mark. That's where I want to cut this. Well, actually I want to measure back 4 inches and then cut it. So we'll go ahead and pull all this out. Measure back 4 inches. We'll get it cut. Solder in our new line and then fish everything back through. Alright, a lot of fun here. So, let me get this measured out and cut. Alright, so we pulled out our wire. There was our original mark. Then we're going to come back 4 inches. And we're going to go ahead and trim that wire right there. There we go. And this will be my soldering table. So we'll pull these wires back a little bit, get those stripped, and then we'll take the ends off of our terminal for our tow vehicle, and we'll get those stripped out, and we'll go ahead and get everything soldered up and put on our shrink tubing and make sure everything's a nice tight fit. Hey, and we'll be ready to connect to the vehicle. So while our soldering iron is warming up, we're going to go ahead and trim back our wiring here. And perhaps just a little bit more. Yep. This is probably about a 10 gauge maybe on this trailer wiring. So it's pretty heavy duty. And then we drop down to probably about a 12 gauge here, maybe a 14. So now these ends are color coded, and you can't see the color. They also tell you what they are. The white's for the ground, tail lights are the brown, left turn signal is the yellow, and the right turn signal is the green. So at this point basically it's just tying everything together, and then we'll add some heat to it and some solder, and then we can put on our shrink tubing and feed it back through our tongue. So that's what we need to do. So once that soldering iron is heated up quite a bit, we'll go ahead and start getting this thing attached, because I'm looking forward to finishing this. Alright, let's give this a shot and see if we're hot enough here. Well, iron seems hot enough, so let's heat that wire up. Alright, so we got everything soldered in place. Now we're just going to go ahead and heat up our shrink tubing and get that all shrunk down. So now we've got a larger piece of shrink tubing that we're going to put over top of all that. We'll get that shrunk down, and then I've got one more piece that I think will slide over top of that one, just for security's sake. So I'm going to have to fill up my lighter here so we can make sure we got enough fuel. Be right back. Well, for you it was a split second. For me, a few minutes. So let's see if we can't get this one heated on. Slide this one over top of that one. Give it a little added security here. And we'll let that cool down for a little bit. and then we'll push our stick back through our tongue, tape the end of our connector here to that, pull it back through, and that part's finished. I think we'll end up putting some what is that, tubing over top, wire loom there on the back, and we'll be able to call that one good. So let's fish it through. Put that in there and out. Here we go. Good deal. I'll just slip this on here. That'll keep that protected. Alright. We're just about ready to wire up to the rig. So now we have to put in our safety chains, and then we're about ready to tow. Alright, got our hole drilled here, so now we'll insert our bolt, which we'll put our safety chain on, connect the coupler back on, hook our chains to it, and I think we'll be golden. Well, let's get it on. Now I'm going to use a 1/2-inch eye bolt here on the bottom. I've got a washer and a lock washer, and I'm going to use the same thing here on the top. Get everything inside, and get that nut going. Alright, so I used 2 links and a quick connect on each link, and that should keep me secure. We're going to go ahead and put the coupler back on, and get my washers and everything here. There we go. We are ready to connect and go get this bad boy weighed. Actually, I gotta clean up stuff first. Alright, it's time to tow this thing. So I've taken it out of the garage, I torqued all the lug nuts, made sure that that's pretty secure, put a wire tie on the battery box so the lid doesn't slide out. Button things up in the back, make sure things don't shake, rattle, and roll. And I did crawl underneath, and any wires like around the fenders that were kind of hanging down, wire tied those temporarily until we take things apart, get them fastened on with some wire clamps and all that good stuff. So I think it is ready to go. I keep looking out past the camera at it, so I'm just going to go get the truck. We're going to hook it up. We're going to take it. It'll be about a maybe a 30-mile round trip, and get this thing towed in or weighed in. Any guesses yet? Alright, well, I'm kind of curious to see myself, so let's do it. Alright, we're ready to go. So trailer's hooked up, locked down, safety chains, lights, everything works. So we'll take off and do a little tour, probably take the back streets instead of highway, and we'll get there in a short time. So hang on for the ride. trailer sitting on the scales and connected to the truck looks like 850. So let's disconnect and check out our total weight. Right at 1,000 pounds. So just the trailer sitting on the scale, disconnected. Just got the signal changed. Yep, 1,000 pounds. So if anybody guessed 1,000, you're right. I was right on the money. Alright, one more little thing out of the way. So we do have a weight. That's the dry weight. There's no battery in it. And I'm guessing the tongue weight's probably around 130, 140 pounds. Once the battery gets in there, that'll bump it up quite a bit. Maybe 85, 75, 80 pounds. But the trailer tow's nice. And it weighs 1,000 pounds. So I'm driving a Dodge Ram 1500 towing this little trailer, and you don't even feel it back there. It's not causing any, it's not sluggish, it doesn't bounce around, so I have to keep looking back to see if it's still on there. So kind of happy with that. We'll see what it does with a smaller rig. Once we're all finished, we'll hook it up to a different tow vehicle and we'll see how well it performs at that point. Cool. Alright. Homeward bound. Alright, I think that's going to do it for this video. We got the wiring on the trailer tongue connected. Lights work. I'm pretty happy with that. Looks pretty cool. Later on tonight, probably what I'll do at the end of the video, at the end of this video, we'll come out here when it's dark and light it up, see what it looks like at nighttime. But I would like to have a few more shots there at the weigh station, but I had a semi-truck kind of pull in behind me and waited for a few seconds. He ended up going around, but there was a couple more coming in behind him. So I don't want to take up their piece of property there. But we did get it weighed in, and it weighed about what I thought it would. I was guessing about 1,000 pounds to 1,100 pounds. And probably about 350 of that is this trailer frame, axle, wheels, and tires. That frame alone, it's got to weigh at least 300 pounds. It's a beast. So that's overbuilt, and I'm not worried about this thing falling apart on the highway. Alright, so let's see what's going to be next. Next, I think we'll talk about the cost. So I have a red cooler that I had in the back of this trailer full of receipts. So I'm going to break it down, put it in different categories. We'll talk about how much this thing cost, and we'll get that out of the way. So stick around for the light show here at the end, and until then, give the video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, that little bell notification, and leave a little comment down below and tell me what you thought of this video. Alright, I think that's going to do it. So stay tuned for the light show, and until then, stick around. Alright, let's kick on the lights and do a quick walk around. See what this thing looks like. It's going to get bright. Nice and lit up. Let's walk around it. It's lit up. Pretty cool.